Good afternoon. The title of my talk, Building Partnerships One Colleague at a Time, presupposes a broad interest in partnerships. But should we first ask, why look for a partner when undertaking a project? What does a partner bring to a project? Doesn't that slow the process? Doesn't it require extra time for communication? I'd suggest those aren't the right questions to decide if a collaboration or partnership is right for your project. Typically, yes, a partnership will take more time and planning, but also typically the benefits are significant, and importantly, the results cannot be achieved any other way. Partnerships expand creative possibilities, financial resources, and learning experiences. Often today's more complex problems require an interdisciplinary approach for an attempt at a solution rather than a solo practitioner working in isolation. As keynote speaker Liz Lerman has said, ask a difficult enough question and you'll need more than one discipline to answer it. We see that in colleges when a sculptor taps an engineer to be a partner when creating a major piece that requires engineering principles and safety guidelines, or when an engineer taps a designer to talk about aesthetic components of a design, or emerging artists seek entrepreneurial partners when starting a theater company, a dance company, or an art gallery. This idea, along with general student interest, has propelled new cross-disciplinary interests in universities that take advantage of their unique intellectual resources. Once one can determine a partnership will yield needed benefits, how do you find a partner? Email, a place where most of us spend long hours each day, has its place, but it doesn't build relationships. I'm focusing my examples today on experiences that are basically low-cost or small-budget experiences from the College of the Arts to demonstrate that expanded creative possibilities, financial resources, and learning experiences can be found through partnerships. These examples can be reworked to translate to any university because the lure of finding ideas and resources seems to be a universal goal. The concept of a professional in residence has been around for a long time, and its success is based in an emotional and intellectual interchange. Some of the very titles provide insight into the creative experiences in the making. Campuses host artists in residences, or scholars in residence, or poets, or even an entrepreneur in residence. We have one here today. Typically, a residency requires a budget of substance for the professional and perhaps to support the residency project. But during time of budget reductions or with limited resources, how can the benefits of a residency still be brought to campus? Let me share several examples. At UF, the Office of the Provost has initiated and funds a Creative Campus Committee. It has two programs which make annual faculty calls for grant requests. The first is entitled the Catalyst Fund for Small Interdisciplinary Projects, and the second is entitled the Scholar in Residence Program. Successful applicants in the program spend 1 or 2 semesters in a college away from their traditional academic home, specifically to carry out research, discussion, and teaching in an unfamiliar environment. Applicants propose a research question or project to be addressed along with an action plan for working on this question collectively with faculty and students at the other department. Scholars are expected to participate fully in the intellectual life of the host department and college. Applicants outline project outcomes for the residency. The Scholar in Residence is funded through the provost dollars, and the home department receives $5,000 per vacated course by the scholar, up to a maximum of $10,000 per person. But if that doesn't work, you can always cut a deal with the provost. My college has had the benefit of a biologist, a neuroscientist, and an engineer in residence, and this year a ceramicist is in residence in the College of Engineering. But let me emphasize, it can be any two colleges that participate. Based on this experience, I can affirm cold calling is not likely to yield a scholar. What seems to work is a faculty member who serves as a point of entry or interest in the host college. Through the residency, longer-term connections can prevail, and in the case of my college, this has brought collaborative research opportunities, conference presentations for students and faculty, and course development. One of the more profound residual impacts was the connection that a biology professor made for the college with the sciences. And I have to tell you, it was so easy. It was one phone call and one visit, not 7 months of trying to find the right entry point. The result was the Genetics Institute invited the college to create an art exhibition based in genetics for a national conference. The exhibition was entitled Codified. The conference organizers built money into the budget for art supplies needed by the student proposals. For 3 years, this project allowed students and scientists to interact, sharing knowledge and ideas. This exhibition drew high praise and some art purchases from the conference attendees. And the whole concept for a call for theme-based art has led to multiple funded projects for students, faculty, and alums, as new medical buildings have been built on campus, and the residents have sought art for the new spaces in addition to what they had expected through the 1% Public Art Fund. The college has found the residency idea to be fertile ground for continued exploration. The university's Austin Carey Forest has had visiting academic scholars of forestry, but when approached after a presentation about the forest's use as a teaching lab for the university, the idea was born for the College of the Arts Artists in Residence. After a presentation of a faculty member whose practice aligned with the principles of conservation, the forestry faculty invited the arts faculty member for a year's residency. The residency brought new opportunities for public engagement with the forest's educational work and resulted in the artist attracting funding for a mobile art gallery made from the top of an unused fire spotting tower, which has become part of her arts practice, and you see that in the slide. Following this connection, forest managers partnered on another project expanding resources, public engagement, and educational opportunities. It hosted both a choreographer and a nationally recognized visual artist who created a dance and video entitled Clear Cut, based on that practice of a controlled burn for clearing a forest area. The School of Dance and Theater presented the piece in concert with a panel composed of the artists and an arborist discussing the practice of clear cutting. Additionally, as a special tribute to conservation, the arborist provided longleaf pine saplings to the audience members to promote new growth. Additional benefits from multiple contacts with forestry include commissions and performance opportunities. The College of the Arts coordinated a call to students, faculty, and alums for art commissions for a newly built Forest Conference Center, and performing arts are now regularly featured in forest outreach events. In a last example, 2 faculty from the College of the Arts and the other from engineering met through the University Curriculum Committee, and from their mutual interests ultimately developed a course, Media Experiments in Technology and Art. Through this experience, the 2 faculty developed the idea of the Student Artist in Residence program, SARP. Students from the arts made proposals to work in engineering labs with faculty researchers they identified through site visits, meetings, and mentorship of the faculty. The faculty selected 5 students, and they were given stipends to produce work over the course of the semester. The work was exhibited in the following semester in an exhibition in the college gallery, and the students gave presentations on the work in engineering classes. Another example of low-cost interactions expanding educational opportunities for students. We continue to explore where other residency opportunities might be possible. In a recent development, initial discussions are beginning with the library for a student's artist-in-residence in their fabrication and app development center. The ability to discuss this type of partnership is built on many years of musical presentations and visual art installations in the libraries, expanding a solid working relationship built one colleague at a time. If partnerships are so important, how can making connections for the foundations of partnerships be intentionally fostered, or how can partners be found? Each campus has its unique strengths, but I imagine we all share the challenge of meeting new people and getting out of our silos in pursuit of generating ideas or responding to opportunities. As residency examples have illustrated, an essential link in building partnerships is having a relationship of greater depth than email. One idea some universities have employed is to create a meeting group. This idea has popped up on campuses, and at UF, the group is entitled Sea Change, Science, Engineering, and the Arts, which also references the members' desire to see a greater acceptance and appreciation of interdisciplinary work. They'd like to see change. The group, composed of faculty from a number of colleges, through dean's recommendations of faculty considered creative and interested in interdisciplinary work, meets formally during the semester and informally at the end of each term. Through the sharing of research, scientists, engineers, and artists have been able to find each other to initiate new research. On a larger scale, a talented member of the library staff has annually coordinated an event entitled Speed Meeting for Research. This choreographed method of introducing researchers and their research in short bursts of exchange has been another successful venture for finding partners. Moving in another direction is an idea appearing on different campuses regarding an arts master plan. A variation on this idea has been developed at UF with the arts, humanities, libraries, and cultural institutions for the purposes of exchanging information about current and future research, to better coordinate grant requests, which are often to the same funders, and to work on larger scale projects that involve more than one unit. And to collaborate, to reach out to the colleges on campus to ensure they're aware of collaborative opportunities, especially for grants calling for broader impacts and educational goals for students. The process started with a meeting of the university's 3 cultural institutions and the deans of libraries, liberal arts and sciences, and the arts. This group has been dubbed the Cultural Coalition. In addition to its own planning, the group gave a presentation of its intentions to the university deans. To stimulate ideas for partnerships, the group provided national examples of art, design, engineering, business, and cultural institutions working together on major initiatives. Now we'll be following up with the deans, one dean at a time, because that's how partnerships are built. As another testament to the benefits of partnerships, bringing additional resources and creative opportunities, I have the story of 2 SEC faculty members who met at a professional conference. They began discussing their mutual responsibilities in opera and what they might do together. Now, through the support of the SEC travel grant, one faculty member is serving as a guest artist and clinician for a week at the other campus to perform, teach, and coach. This is valuable for the faculty member as he develops his career, and for the students to have access to another professional in the opera world. The SEC travel grants are a wonderful resource for partnerships, and I highly recommend finding a partner while you're here. And please know the welcome mat is always out in Gainesville. In several last thoughts, partners can work together on bigger ideas. Engineering and the arts have had a long-standing relationship at UF. In a highly successful partnership, engineering and the Harn Museum of Art host engineering nights at the Harn, the highest attendance student event sponsored by the museum. underscoring a non-traditional role the museum can play on a campus. Annually, it draws over 900 students and community members to fill the hallways and galleries as engineering students share designs and projects and interact with the community. This has become such an event of popularity that it served as a springboard for initiating an undergraduate science night. A science administrator wanted to reach out to the campus and community with the aim of generating enthusiasm for a better understanding of science. He realized more than science posters in an art museum would be necessary to draw an engaged audience. Based on previous work with the college, he reached out to its students and the museum to present the idea of mashup, math, art, and science at the Harn. The evening showcased posters and 2D and 3D student art, some of it theme-based on science, and the evening drew 75 student participants who had their work on display and over 400 attendees. Partners come in unlikely shapes and unlikely times. For many years, the College of the Arts looked for additional teaching space. It held a community forum with business leaders to explain the benefits of sharing space with visual artists. Years passed. Then, unexpectedly, the college received an invitation to discuss the inclusion of its graphic design studio and rapid prototype lab, shared with the College of Design, Construction, and Planning, in a new theme-based dorm on entrepreneurship. That project fell apart due to developer anxiety. Then, 18 months ago, the project resurfaced and phones began ringing. The result, this fall, saw the opening of the off-campus living learning community called Infinity Hall, and on its first floor, the colleges of business, design, construction, and planning, and the arts, and the library have space. We are anticipating that the proximity of these units will develop into a collision space, generating new ideas for the students and faculty. And you'll be able to see project number 1 when you go downstairs, because the pedestals were created on a CNC router in that very space. Big ideas or super goals can bring people together. Several years ago, the colleges of design, construction, and planning, engineering, and the arts, along with the city of Gainesville, came together to write a National Endowment for the Arts grant. These efforts build a working relationship between the colleges, and eventually we pulled in the College of Business as well. And one of the outcomes of our partnership was the ability to submit a concept for an SEC symposium. While there may have been many people who were initially hesitant to accept a multi-college proposal with creativity in the title, ultimately the provost prevailed and selected this proposal. Today is an affirmation of that ongoing partnership that allows for bigger ideas, and for our new colleagues and partners who've discovered across the SEC, preparing for this conference, that together we have found a space for new ideas, expanded resources, and offered faculty and students new scholarly and creative opportunities. And that could not have been created in any other way. So, I know you've been really quiet with all the other presenters. Haven't I offered anything that's provocative enough for at least one question? Okay.
Bruce Smith, Auburn. You mentioned identifying that one point of contact.
Yes.
And obviously that's very critical. So how do you identify that one point of contact that will lead to that interaction?
Well, I can tell you in Sea Change, what we have been doing is we start off the year with everybody giving an update of where they are in their research or something that might be interesting or a place that they're looking for a point of collaboration. And then in the succeeding meetings, each researcher volunteers to go on a little bit more in depth on their research. Because when you've got people coming from biology and forestry and arts and medicine and dance and music and a whole range of other disciplines, we have no idea what each person is doing, and we have no idea of how to connect. But it's through hearing and listening that you're able to say, wow. So we had an engineer who was dealing with tracking eye movement that connected with our university gallery director, and something came out of that. We had a person from the College of Medicine working with pulmonary problems with children that connected with our Center for Arts and Medicine and also digital technology. And a book has come out for the children with these heart problems to understand the functioning of the heart. So what it takes is finding that space, that protected space where faculty feel safe in sharing ideas and talking together, and then you have to let that magic happen where they can connect. That's also what happens when they do this speed meeting for research, which is where one researcher is speaking to another. You've got so many minutes, and then you change roles, and you meet approximately eight different researchers in a short amount of time to hear about different research. And what you hear about at that moment may not be effective for you, but later on it might be, or you could share with a colleague, wow, I've just heard this idea and it didn't work for me, but it might help with your research. So bottom line, it's finding ways to find a space where people have time to listen. Well, thank you.